Thomas Jefferson once said, "The arts will serve to improve the taste of my countrymen, to increase their reputation, to reconcile to them the respect of the world, and procure its praise." Mr. Jefferson was one of the first to realize that art works for Virginia. Now, art in Virginia has broken out of the four walls of the museum. It is everywhere, in our homes and on the streets. Change has found its way to our most traditional institutions, including the corporations. There is a new vitality in Virginia business, and that energy is becoming a force in the liberation of art. The corporate world has opened its eyes to art and likes what it sees. There are a dozen Fortune 500 companies with headquarters here, and new development is everywhere. With new construction, this world wasn't always excited about art. In fact, around the turn of the century, the writer Henry James said, "The average American businessman regards culture as the special concern of women, foreigners, and other impractical persons." In the years since James, business hasn't lost its practical approach. And thanks to pioneers like David Rockefeller, corporate America has realized that art works for business.
I think it's fair to say that my life has been very much enriched by my enjoyment of beauty, whether it be found in nature or in man-made objects. And consequently, it seemed to me that it was also logical to think that in one's work it would be logical and desirable to be surrounded by beautiful things. This really is how I happen to become interested in trying to provide a collection of painting and sculpture for the Chase when I was the chairman of the Chase.
Another leader in the world of business and art is PepsiCo's Donald Kendall.
I like the art in our collection to show also what the company stands for. We like to have stability, which is your traditional, more traditional pieces. And then I like to show that we're always looking for new horizons. And it's something that our employees really enjoy. This is the only corporate headquarters I know where the employees bring their families and friends on a weekend and come and take them on a sculpture tour or have a picnic lunch here. So it's been very good for the company, and after all, we are a marketing-oriented creative company, and it's a great atmosphere for our employees to work in.
Chase Manhattan and PepsiCo have built two of the leading corporate collections in the world. But some of the same companies that keep Richmond's economy strong have also invested in art. Art made here at home. Richard Carline is an artist who has lived in Richmond for over 3 decades. He knows the town and the cultural climate well.
The people in the city, and I must say in the state, have a very deep and profound feeling for their own history and this glorious past. And it is strong. It's something to be proud of, I think. And at the same time, here we are in this very historical, very conservative city, and you have this very advanced art community. Now, something is there.
Richmond draws its strength from its diversity, a colorful history, a leading art school, artists everywhere. It even has a restaurant run by artists. The Texas-Wisconsin Border Cafe hangs works of art on the wall that are serious and, well, not so serious.
PepsiCo's outstanding leadership and enthusiastic patronage of the arts is easily recognized by the quality and exciting diversity of the PepsiCo Sculpture Gardens. Clearly reflected in this remarkable collection of 20th century sculpture are PepsiCo's commitment and imaginative effort to share what art has to offer. Today, PepsiCo's collection of modern sculpture has not only added beauty and harmony to the office and garden surroundings, but has also provided a glimpse into the process of artistic creation and the pleasure of art itself. It's with that same spirit that the Allegheny Pepsi Bottling Company of Richmond, Virginia has been pleased to co-sponsor this special presentation.
From the beginning, people have always had the need to surround themselves with images. By the end of the 19th century, wealthy industrialists had built the great public museums on the foundation of their private collections. Museums are still a major influence, setting standards and making art accessible to many. But now, more and more individuals collect it. Galleries show it, corporations hang it, and Richmond is the place to buy it. Raymond Gross, a telephone company manager, has been collecting art for about 3 years. For him, collecting art is affordable. It's simply a matter of priority.
Carolyn Alameen had a show a couple of years ago. Found that it really wasn't as expensive as I thought it would be. And then just as I would put back a couple dollars every once in a while to buy a suit, I put back a couple dollars every once in a while to buy a painting or a print.
Aggie Zed is a Richmond sculptor who makes clay pieces that range from small figures to larger abstract constructions. One of her main concerns is keeping her work affordable.
I come from people who, I guess the easiest thing to say would be that they would be afraid to go into museums or galleries. That they think that if they go in there, they won't know enough to, or someone will ask them what they think, and they'll feel foolish or embarrassed. And I still think of those people and kind of feel for them. And I like the idea that I could make something that a lot of people could relate to. I feel good about doing the small work and making my living that way, and feeling that a lot of different people can afford the work and not just a few.
Bernard Hamilton is a Richmond investment counselor with a passion for art. He and his wife Laura have been collecting local artists' work for years.
I do like buying local art. I like supporting them. I like them because they're friends, but I mainly like them because I think they're very talented and think they're very underpriced. I don't know enough, but when I go to other museums in New York and other places and I see a lot of art and I see what the prices are, in my mind, in many cases, we are producing equally as good art down here, and the prices are just a fraction.
Under Donald Kendall's leadership, PepsiCo has made a major commitment to collecting art. But Kendall suggests that not every work or artist in the collection has to be famous.
Don't be afraid to go out and say, I like this, and don't necessarily look for a great artist with a great name. I mean, there are artists that are just starting out that someday are going to be recognized, and you might be the first one that recognizes them. So don't be afraid to get something that, it is not well known, or something everybody doesn't particularly like. If you like it, get it.
PepsiCo has carved out a spectacular place in the world of corporate collecting. But PepsiCo and Chase Manhattan by no means stand alone as corporate patrons of art. In Richmond, one of the finest corporate collections is housed in the Federal Reserve Bank. When the building was constructed, a percentage of the cost was designated for buying art, much of it by Virginians. Vice President Jack Blanton explains the value of art in the workplace.
Well, we think it's important to have a collection of art because it stimulates the environment for the staff. It makes an interesting environment for visitors to come into. From a cost standpoint, it really costs no more than just having simple decoration, but you truly have an investment. You have something you can be proud of. It appreciates in value as opposed to depreciating in value.
The Federal Reserve built upon an idea that businesses like Philip Morris and Sovereign Bank had already started. For 20 years, Philip Morris has maintained a commitment to the arts, including a collection of Virginia artists' work. In the mid-1970s, Sovereign Bank combined an art purchasing program with public gallery space in its new headquarters building. One Richmond corporation is based in what the architect calls a museum that you work in. Best Products, with its nationally renowned collection of contemporary art, reflects founders Sidney and Francis Lewis's incurable passion for collecting art. The Richmond partnership between business and the arts continues with the construction of the new James Center. Businesses like CSX Corporation, Arthur Young Company, and McGuire Woods and Battle all collect original Virginia art.
That art, whether it's fine art, paintings hanging on the wall, or whether it's crafts, artist-designed furniture, ceramics, and glassware, makes our surroundings more pleasant to live in. We're a law firm, and we think lawyers are stimulated to work by their ability to think and be creative, and we believe this adds to everything we have here to offer.
We think that from the standpoint of the benefit to our customers and to the bank, it ties in a theme that the employees of the bank have certainly gotten excited about. It's drawn a lot of attention that I think a regular, just buying regular art would not have done. We've had some groups come through and want to review and see the art collection. And so it's created a real esprit de corps among the employees in the bank, and we think with the directors and customers as well.
Well, I've never really considered that acquiring art was something that our firm had an obligation to do, but rather it's something that's really been in our best interest. In the first place, and on the most basic level, the pictures we've acquired have just added a tremendous amount of visual zest to our offices. But you get a lot more than visual zest from visual arts. You really get intellectual challenge as well. Art demands attention. It provokes our imagination. Art's often very mysterious. All of us who stood in front of a picture or a sculpture and said, what does it mean? A good part of that mystery, I think, stems from the fact that we are aware that what we're viewing is something that was created by another human being. Certainly that's so of original works of art. Nothing stands between us and the artist. We can, in a manner of speaking, see every brushstroke. That's why, just as an aside, I think it's a good idea that we use our funds to acquire the original work of local artists rather than to purchase a photographic reproduction of a picture of a great master.
There is a focus to our collection, and we're using Virginia artists. We feel that we have a sense of responsibility to the community, and this is one of the ways that we can show this by purchasing and supporting the works of Virginia artists.
But the future of art in the workplace is not limited to what is hung on the walls, placed in the corridors, or to dramatic exteriors. Now, entire skyscrapers have been designed to showcase art and create an exciting working environment. One of Richmond's most innovative new projects is Main Street Center. Art has been included in the building's design. Developing partners are Robert J. Simmenberg and Melvin Estrin.
People spend almost as much time in their offices and the workplace as they do in their home, and that the kind of atmosphere that they're going to be spending that time in is extremely critical, and it's more important that their mood, their feeling, their desire for growth is enhanced in their workplace, not just in their homes or in their outside social life. So in working with the architects from the very beginning and the city, our concept was to develop major art projects, major art programs, using art from the community as well as mixing it with well-known and established artists. To put it simply, we didn't put a wall up and then decide we need color.
Many Americans think they don't know much about art, but you might be surprised at how much you do know. In fact, you can probably recognize a lot of great art at a glance. Maybe you have a favorite painting, a favorite piece of music, a favorite play, To be or not to be? That is the question. Why do Americans know so much about the great works? Well, one reason is that American business promotes the arts. A lot of American businesses help make even the most private artistic expressions public. A number of companies right here in Virginia are contributing every day of the year. At Bank of Virginia, we've always been one of those companies, and we always will be.
Arts Ball is a work of art in itself. Every spring, Richmond's art community gathers for an annual benefit for a gallery run by artists. 1708 East Main. Most of the guests come dressed as their favorite work of art. Space for art is maintained and supported by an artist membership. 1708 offers exhibitions by both established and undiscovered artists. In Richmond, one can see most of the major trends in contemporary art and find new ground being broken as well. Al Loving, a New York City resident who is a visiting artist at VCU, is excited about the Richmond art community.
Well, this is one of the largest art communities I've ever lived in, outside of New York, for a city its size. I think because this university is like the third largest art school in the country, and it's a very professional school. And so you find here really the embodiment of all that history, and you find it at a very high level. You have people who are in the faculty who've been making pictures for 30 or 40 years. And so we've gotten very good at it.
Sculptor Myron Helfgott has lived in Richmond for many years. He, too, shares the view that the art that is produced here is top quality.
Oh, it's wonderful. It is. I don't know of any community this size that has as many people making terrific work. I was up in New York last summer, and I visited some people's studios, and they're talking about, well, they're thinking about leaving this gallery and going to the next gallery, and everybody's interested in having their work shown in galleries. And I was kind of amazed at their interest in their work. In Richmond, I think the work is terrific, and I think the university has a good deal to do with that.
The best artwork is nothing without an audience. Galleries and museums are necessary for art to flourish. Artist Frank Cole.
Well, there's some people in town that are dedicated really to introducing contemporary art to a public. I wish there were more people like that, but those people have been very nice to me. Bev Reynolds, Charlotte Miner have been real good. 1708 has done a fantastic job introducing a lot of work. You know, over 500 artists I think they've shown in those 5 or 6 years, or 6 or 7 years that they've been around. And I think they've been the biggest things in town. Done a tremendous job. And now with the West Wing opening up, I think we'll bring more people from out of town in and get more dialogue going and more things happening, just because we've got some good contemporary art on view here, which we didn't have before.
The galleries and museums bring art closer to the people. Painter James Bradford, whose work is included in many collections, thinks some people shy away from art because they think they won't understand it.
As opposed to being intimidated by the scene, I wish that more people would take advantage of what is available in Richmond. And given the size of the town that it is, I think that you know, the art as it does flourish owes something to you know, to VCU. But even apart from VCU, I think there's a very strong, thriving artistic community, and I wish that people would just avail themselves of it.
There are
few commercial office buildings that soar above the commonplace. Fewer still that have the power to revitalize the traditional inner city and bring it back to the people place it once was. Main Street Center in the heart of downtown Richmond, an entire city block of office space and two 23-story twin towers, rises to this challenge. Designed to attract not only its own working professionals, but all of Richmond as well, Main Street Center's large public space with its airy atrium provides a perfect architectural backdrop for the contemporary arts showcase, destined to become a lively central attraction for the entire area. The rich Italian marbles, brasses and bronzes, and exotic woods complete this creative kaleidoscope. Main Street Center also has its pragmatic side, as all utilities and amenities are at the leading edge of the technology. Main Street Center embellishes the financial and business heart of a burgeoning downtown Richmond with an artful beauty and a power all its own.
Renata Falk and her husband have a passion for art that reflects their personal feelings and ideas. They believe art is something that is an investment, but not a financial one.
We had debated a lot as to why we want to collect pictures and, you know, do we want to invest money, and I can't deal with that. I just think that's awful. I know that they appreciate as time go on, but for me it is, I see it and the picture talks to me and I like it, and then whenever we can afford it, we will buy it, and I think I have influenced my husband in that regard.
This may sound kind of tough coming from a business person, but, you know, anybody can put money in the bank or buy stocks. You can't see it. Somebody else handles it for you. Some of the things that I bought around here that I find from an investment standpoint, I can see them every day, and I smile when I look at them. You know, I like them. It just becomes part of your household or your personality. I mean, I think you should be well balanced economically, but if you have any feeling at all for the arts, collecting paintings and prints is an excellent way of saving money, too.
If somebody spends money on them, I want them to be happy, and I want the pieces to be absolutely perfect for them. And I want them to feel like that they're buying into something that may eventually be worth a lot more money than they spent on it.
And an integral force in business. Bernard Hamilton bridges the gap between business and collecting art.
The original art to me is creative. I can't, my wife's an artist, I can't even draw a stick figure. But I like to think that in my business, to be successful, you've got to be creative. And my creativity is different from an artist, but I just marvel at what an artist can do. Not just because he maybe is a great draftsman. And many of these artists, if you look around at some of the more abstract paintings, the first thing I said 15 years ago when I saw abstract art was, you know, anybody can do that. There's a whole lot more to it than just somebody throwing a lot of paint at a canvas.
Artist Bernard Martin.
Fundamentally, art defines a culture. Art defines a culture, and art defines a time. And when we are all long gone, these things that the artists did will define who we were and what we were, as much so, if not more so, than almost anything that will come from this time.
Throughout the history of our society, I think it's the creative artists, whether they be performing artists or writers or poets or painters and sculptors, have really represented the soul of our society. They've played a crucial role. Those civilizations which have had great artists are the ones which have really been important in the world. Those which have lacked that kind of culture, by and large, have disappeared and have been unimportant. So the support of those creative people who are able to express what's the essence of what's important in our society is, I think, vital. And for business to be able to contribute to that also seems to me to be important.
Now more than ever, businesses everywhere are proving that art works for everyone. Donald Kendall explains how supporting the arts has enhanced his company's creative power.
I don't think there's any question of what has had an impact on our employees by creating an environment that they're proud of. Employees have to be not only excited about the job, but the environment in which they're working.
At first, some PepsiCo management and directors may have been skeptical about financing an art collection.
But the company was doing very well, so no one really voiced any strong objection. But now that they have seen it, the board and the shareholders are the biggest supporters we have. We've gotten, without making any effort, more publicity out of our sculpture garden than almost anything that we've ever done, and we didn't do it for that purpose and haven't gone out to seek publicity on it. But because of the collection has turned out to be such a good one, and this is a fantastic spot to display sculpture. I guess I've had about as much fun doing this as I have building the company. You know, one of the great joys out of running a company like this is the people that you build. And I'm particularly, as I'm getting near the end of my reign, that's the thing I guess I'm most proud of, is the people we have in this company. And the other thing is the art collection that we've got.
Art works for Virginia in our corporate boardrooms, our offices, our homes, in galleries and artist studios. Art represents a vision of our past and of our future. It has the power to make our lives more productive and the world in which we live more beautiful. To find out how art can work for you, call or write the Arts Council of Richmond and ask for the Visual Arts Directory. It's an excellent source of information on artists, galleries, and events. Call 643-4993.
Be sure to take part in the Artists at Work Studio Tour, Sunday, April 20th from 1 to 5 p.m. Transportation to New York provided by Piedmont Airlines.